Hi everyone, I'm Michael Short. This is Let's Go Outdoors.
Let's go outdoors where the waters run clear and cold. Mother Nature's world is better than gold. So much to see, so much to do. Let's go outdoors, me and you. Let's go outdoors.
Let's Go Outdoors with Michael Short. Supported by the Alberta Conservation Association, conserving Alberta's wild side.
Hi everyone, welcome to Let's Go Outdoors. I'm Michael Short. Coming up, with some 22,000 members across our province, the Alberta Fish and Game Association is one of the largest conservation organizations in the province. We'll be spending some time at their annual conference and have an opportunity to meet some of the folks who make up this organization that has a history dating back over 100 years.
So if we call that wrong and say that that is not typical because it's...
Local fish and game clubs are located across Alberta and host their own activities. We take a trip to Westlock for the Grassland Horn Scoring event.
The trust that we have with our stakeholders is not as high as it should be.
We'll have some news from the Minister of Sustainable Resource Development when it comes to Alberta Pheasant Release Program. And I'll be bringing you some tips on using a Dutch oven. Recently, the Alberta Fish and Game Association held its annual conference in Calgary, where we caught up with the AFGA President, Conrad Venema. Alberta Fish and Game delegates representing more than 65 clubs right across Alberta gather every year to discuss a wide range of topics. The convention also provides a forum to the current Minister of Alberta Sustainable Resource Development to address the audience on what the department is planning for the year ahead. And in this case, the message delivered by Frank Oberle was well received.
The tone of his speech is very positive. He is very supportive of the organization, and the topics that he touched on, he doesn't beat around the bush. He tells you straight out the way it is. He's honest, forthcoming, and does a great job.
Still, when it comes to some very specific topics, there is some disappointment with the direction the government is moving in. Take, for example, the end of the pheasant release program.
The pheasants, of course, are not native to Alberta. They're introduced species, and for many years the department participated in fact, owned and ran the pheasant hatchery. And that's tapered off significantly over the last few years. And in 2010, the program was ended. It was then continued for 1 year, but it was ended at the end of last year. It's not in my budget this year. I've met with a number of interest groups, and if we can find some funding and a private delivery group, I'll consider it. But it's not in my budget this year, and I won't be proceeding with a purchase or release of pheasants.
It's a little bit disappointing that they're just going to discontinue the release of pheasants in Alberta. It's a hunting opportunity, and there's a lot of pheasant hunters, a lot of bird hunters out there that enjoy it. And if we can supply that in the province, all the power to us. If the government's not going to do it, maybe we have to look at another solution and take it up at a different manner. The Pheasant Festival in Taber was just an awesome weekend, and yeah, I think we have to probably look at a different angle at it and probably start it up a different way with a different organization. But you got to keep in mind, if you're going to start releasing pheasants, you have to have the hatchery. And the hatchery is a big thing. The contract to release pheasants ran out in 2011, so whether there's an organization big enough to buy the hatchery and take it over, it's hard to say. I would like to present you with our 100th anniversary history book.
Another issue the AFGA is watching closely is the sale of public lands.
We'll probably never ever see eye to eye on that because you cannot stand in the way of progress. If a city has to expand and there's public land right adjacent, naturally that's going to be sold. But we want to stop the sale of critical habitat, which is public land, so that, you know, where there's the species are threatened or whatever, you know, like the southern Alberta, the grasslands, where burrowing owl and a bunch of threatened species make their home.
While providing a voice for Alberta's wildlife and habitat is a big part of the AFGA mandate, so is working with youth. In fact, there's a strong youth component to the conference.
Well, this year there's only 17 youth here. I'm not sure off the top of my head how many members there are to be like exact out of the 21,000, but there's quite a few throughout the province. It's just getting here. Well, we talk about, usually we pick out 2 resolutions from the resolution book and we present them to the adults on the Saturday, and we do our little elections and we get presentations and we do activities. And usually we just it's like bonding, everybody gets close, and then we just talk everything through and just find out youth problems in the province, and then we try and plan activities for what we can do.
So when you present your resolution, Ben, do you feel that you have an impact with the membership?
Well, we try our best, if people want to listen, that's them, but I think for the most part, people listen to us.
Well, normally my next guest is seen giving you some gear tips, but Brad Fenson is also responsible for habitat development with the Alberta Fish and Game Association. Brad, you run the Wildlife Trust Foundation through the Alberta Fish and Game Association. Give us some background to this program.
As you mentioned, it continues to expand every year, and we currently have over 37,000 acres, and that's spread out right from just north of Waterton National Parks all the way north to the Peace River Breaks east of Manning, and from Lloydminster on the Saskatchewan side right up against the foothills and the mountains. So it's really diverse habitats. We know we're blessed in Alberta to have such a diversity of habitats, and we have properties in pretty well every part of the province, so that no matter where you live, if people want a place to go out and see wildlife, enjoy the outdoors, enjoy some recreational opportunities, there's a place right in your backyard. Our primary objective is habitat, to try to help maintain our resources, our fisheries, our wildlife into the future so that future generations can enjoy the Alberta that we've experienced. But of course, part of that habitat equation is beautiful landscapes, vistas, and all the rest of it, and we'd like people to get out and enjoy them as well. We don't have to set them aside and preserve them. These are actively working properties where we want people to go out and see what we're doing for wildlife, enjoy the wildlife, and take that experience home.
Hey everyone, our outdoor adventure will continue right after this. Oh, was that a bite?
Alberta Conservation Association. Since 1997, more than $120 million has gone towards conserving wildlife and fish and securing habitat, creating a lasting legacy for Albertans.
The Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers represents over 90% of oil and gas companies operating in Canada.
What we do is we represent the views of the membership to government and to the public, and make sure that we're representing the best views in terms of policy, and making sure that we have transparent information for the public to make judgments and understand what our industry is doing.
Unlike any time in the past, international attention on Canada's energy production, especially here in Alberta's oil sands, has been intense. In response, CAPP sees an opportunity to provide more information about the industry.
Showcasing work that our members are doing, and specifically work that raises the bar for the whole industry. And at the same time, there's another aspect to Responsible Canadian Energy where we measure, report, validate that information, and make sure that it's available to academics, public at large, media, to take a look at what we're doing right and what our challenges are, identify areas where we can do better, but celebrate some of the successes we've had too.
Still, there are challenges, and one of the biggest just might be establishing a level of trust with the public.
Part of the problem with industry is we've got very low credibility. So it's hard for us to go out there and say, look what we've done, and have people go, okay, good. There's a trick to it, and that is to get other people, independent people, to come in that don't have a perceived benefit associated with thinking it is positive work, and say, yeah, it is good work.
The Busby Fish and Game Club held their 4th annual horn scoring event in Westlock this winter. Now, not being an expert in the art of horn scoring, I thought I would be in for an education to better understand this craft. With an almost surgeon-like skill, these official measurers record the length and number of every bump on a set of antlers. And for good reason, as the owners of these horns are hoping to earn a spot in either the Boone and Crockett Club or Pope and Young Club. Welcome to the Grasslands Horn Scoring event, held as part of a fundraiser for the Busby Fish and Game Club. Some of the horns brought in are from animals harvested over the past season. Other horns, like this interesting rack, were found in a field. Recognizing the quality of the animal is at the heart of what the scoring program is all about. Official scoring of antlers dates back to the 1950s. When it comes to scoring, officials are looking at the overall spread between the antlers and the mass or thickness of the bone structure. Bob Dodlin has been an official scorer for a number of years and gives us a crash course on some of the steps that are involved in determining if this antler will belong in the record book.
Okay, this fine whitetail here, I'll just explain a few of the traits here and kind of, I guess, explain some of the lingo we use. One of the terms that you'll often read about or hear in the field or on TV is inside spread, and that's taken between the two main beams. That's one term. This would be called a drop time, coming off of the main beam in a downward flow. These are burr points. We have brow tines here, etc. Now, the typical nature of this is any point coming off the top of the main beam, which is these, is considered typical. Anything coming off in any other direction would be considered non-typical, normally. Okay, what we're going to take is what's known as a G4 measurement, which is the fourth point on the right antler. 6 1/8, Jesse, if you could write that down.
6 1/8.
And what we'll take is what's known as the H4 in scoring language, which would be our fourth circumference on the right side. And it has to be taken at the smallest point in between the third point and the fourth point, the smallest location. And in this case, it is 3 6/8.
I'm really starting to get the idea that you need some good math skills here and the ability to read a measuring tape like Mike Holmes. So after checking and rechecking the numbers, a verdict is reached.
This is a fine specimen of a white-tailed deer. This white-tailed deer measures up at 185 4/8 inches. Minimum score needed is 185 0/8, so he does qualify for the Boone and Crockett Awards book.
Despite all the precise measurements, every now and then a set of antlers will come in that have even the experts stumped on how to score it.
Those, like you say, are straightforward. It's just once you get into here, what do we do with these 2 points? And what do we do with these 2 points? But then it gets into what's this question here. Is this a...
If you're going to call this wrong, you got to call that wrong.
Yeah, so if we call that wrong and say that that is not typical because it's basically, it's coming off this way. I mean, it's right level with the outside edge.
Match, 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 match. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Match to match. Match to match. Wrong.
Yep, I agree.
I'm not too sure what they just agreed on, but it sounds like there won't be any big controversy surrounding the scoring of this antler. Coming up, we'll get some insight to the work being carried out by Ducks Unlimited Canada.
The Alberta Hunter Education Instructors Association delivers conservation programs about Alberta's wildlife and fish, which need to be managed for future generations. To date, AHIA has instructed over 1 million students.
Pheasants Forever celebrates its 20th year in Alberta in 2012. We are dedicated to the conservation of pheasants and other upland wildlife through habitat improvements, public awareness, education, and land management policies and programs.
What do I say? Hi, Mom?
Are you excited? Excited about going for a trail ride?
Yeah.
Jane?
You let me know when you're getting tired of it, and then I'll give you...
The goal of Alberta's Parks Push to Open program is that everyone has the support they need to be fully included in nature.
Go to your left a bit.
For Kara, that means that she's now able to go down a path through the forest near Drayton Valley.
It's called a trail rider, and it's just one of the many things that allow us to modify the user, not the environment, to make it possible for people to do different sorts of things. The trail rider in particular has actually been up to Mount Kilimanjaro and to the base camp of Mount Everest.
I feel like it's getting away from you guys. Just let me know and I'll break.
And it just shows that with some determination and teamwork and a big fat wheel, you can get almost anywhere.
In the back, you're just concerned about balance and then keeping your hand close to the brake if you start going down a good downhill. The person driving it's Kara, though. She's the one in charge. She tells us when we're going too fast, tells us if she's not feeling safe or not feeling comfortable. It's all about teamwork within the team. And the person in the trail rider is as much part of the team as anyone else.
Shelley is the other trail rider, and she's the first to arrive at a large obstacle, a large spruce tree that's blocking the path.
Can't go over it.
Can't go under it.
Gotta go through it. Okay, you guys want to put it down and we'll take a look and we'll scout?
After checking it over, the decision is made to turn back.
All right, side step right, side step right.
There we go. Round, 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 and round we go.
Volunteers are a key component of making a trip like this possible, and it seems that they're enjoying this trip out in nature as much as Kara and Shelley.
We've got a community of people that are very dedicated, very hardworking, absolutely love this program, absolutely love what they do, come out year after year and are there to just pretty much do whatever it takes to make things happen.
It gives people a place where they can belong, where they can say, I was out there for the weekend and people weren't pushing me out of their way. People weren't asking me if I was okay or overlooking me. They actually made me feel like a part of this experience. So parks in that regard are becoming this really interesting community builder.
Hey Colton, take it easy, eh? Seatbelts.
While some were trail riding, others chose to go quadding at Blue Rapids Provincial Recreation Area.
But with the side-by-side now, with a 5-point harness like race car drivers, basically you can tie a person in there in a very safe manner.
We saw you come in through that mud hole, and the looks on all of your participants' faces said it all.
So that's basically why we do it. It's just to see the faces, and it's a memory for them to have for years and years and years to come.
We've learned about a term among the disability community called a TAB. And a TAB is temporarily able-bodied, because disability affects every one of us. At some point in our life, we're going to face barriers, either because we're elderly, or we're injured, or we're pushing a baby stroller. And so what we're finding is people get educated to realize, you know what, that person faces those barriers, but I'll face those barriers someday. So it is about all of us.
Official Tim shot, are we ready? Oh. Yay for Chili! Yay!
Everyone wraps up their day by sharing their favorite moment.
Going down the trail that hadn't been broken yet and taking some pictures off the ridge, that was the highlight. It was awesome.
Riding 3 times and going over the same puddle 3 times at the end.
Yeah, that puddle was bigger and bigger and bigger. Hey, Nick?
Getting muddy.
Getting muddy.
Oh, and you did a very good job of that.
Yep.
Well, after a busy day outdoors, it's a roaring campfire and people sharing their outdoor adventures. That's what the Push to Open program is all about. Proof positive that everybody, regardless of your ability, belongs outside. Well, for almost 3/4 of a century, Ducks Unlimited has been on the Canadian landscape, and right now, real pleasure to welcome David Kay from Ducks Unlimited Canada. Dave, thanks so much for coming in and chatting to us about your organization.
Not at all. Thank you for the invite.
You know, every day you say, boy, I hope you wake up and learn something new, and I did. You told me that Ducks Unlimited back in 1938 was actually formed as a result of the drought.
That's correct, yeah. Because of the big Dust Bowl years in the prairies in the 30s, there were fewer waterfowl going south. So a organization began to try to fix the Canadian breeding grounds, basically. So raise money in the United States and send it to the north, and then we would build habitat projects.
How has the mandate of Ducks Unlimited changed?
It hasn't changed at all. How we approach conservation certainly has changed, but our mandate is about wetland conservation. It's about restoring and conserving wetlands across Alberta. There's been a lot of wetland loss in Alberta over the years, and our key programs in Alberta are to work with land users, the ag industry, the oil and gas industry, forestry industry, to try to find conservation solutions.
Are there specific programs that you can point to, Dave, that have been a collaborative approach between the various land users and Ducks Unlimited?
Yes, in fact, just this past November, Ducks Unlimited Canada and Suncor hosted a workshop in Calgary where we brought in folks from industry, some regulatory folks, and wetland conservation people, and we basically workshopped around trying to understand better what are the barriers to resource development. How is the resource developed? how do we try to move the agenda forward towards best management practices.
Of course, the hunting community, a lot of hunters, members of Ducks Unlimited Canada. Do you still see a role for that community through your organization, Dave? Is it still one of the sort of the cornerstones to what Ducks is all about?
No question. And one of the issues we have, of course, is an aging hunting population. And so one of our programs is to try to promote youth waterfowling. And we've got some projects within Alberta and across Canada to try to do that. Another thing that we do is work with other conservation agencies. We are in a partnership with ACA, Alberta Conservation Association, where a lot of the lands that we have secured across Alberta since 1938, we've allowed them to put them in their guide. In Alberta alone, there's about 80,000 acres of lands that Ducks Unlimited Canada manages that are available for access for hunting, fishing, berry picking, recreation, that kind of thing.
You folks are well renowned for your great dinner parties. You've got groups right across Alberta that have Ducks Unlimited auctions over the course of the year, and great way for, I guess, the grassroots to participate.
The banquets are a big way for us to keep in touch with our volunteers and provide a venue for them to come and support wetland conservation.
Dave, thanks so much for this.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hey everyone, we're about to take a break, but we'll be back with our outdoor adventure right after this.
Wild Sheep Foundation Alberta promotes and enhances wild sheep populations and habitat through the funding of programs that support responsible wildlife management, conservation education, youth involvement, and the preservation of our hunting heritage.
You would expect an oil company to spend time and effort in ensuring the environment they are working in is protected, but you wouldn't expect that an oil company to invest in building a high school. Yet that's exactly what Devon Energy has done. The community of Conklin is very close to the Jack Fish Devon Energy project in northeast Alberta, and when the company heard students had to attend classes over 2 hours away, they decided to act and build a high school for Conklin.
I'm very sort of well versed on the residential school system and the challenges that were faced in the Aboriginal people for many, many years. And education has always been one of those challenges. And so we've seen this as an opportunity to say, okay, if we can work with the community, create a compelling future for those students and the community itself, it's got to be a positive for everybody. And ultimately it was the right thing to do.
And the winner is Devon Canada for their project Conklin Gets a High School.
Devon Energy was recently recognized for their work by receiving the Responsible Canadian Energy Award for Social Performance presented by the Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers. While the public recognition is welcomed, for Greg, it's seeing the students in school that has proven to be the real award.
There's just some great talent there that just needed that opportunity, and so we're pretty proud of it.
Hi, I'm Brad Fenson with the Alberta Fish and Game Association with your Outdoor Tip of the Week. This week we're actually going to be talking about fishing barbless. Alberta fishing regulations require all anglers in the province to fish with barbless hooks. We really need to pay attention to the barbs in terms of pinching them properly so that you make sure you're legal. So basically you can see the barb sitting there. You just want to grab onto it the entire length of the barb and pull it right in to the shank of the hook. And you can actually see when you've done it properly because you won't be able to have any gap, and you can run your finger backwards across it and it won't catch you. If you actually take a barbed hook and feel it, it'll actually catch your finger going both ways. That barb is actually sharpened on the back as well, and you want to get that completely flush with the shank of the hook. You know, it's really easy to check to see if you got your barbs fully pinched. Just carry a cotton ball with you in your tackle box, but just run the hook through the cotton batten, and if there's any barb left, it will pick up some of the fibers right away. But if you prepare ahead, pinch all your barbs in your tackle box, you don't have to worry when you're out on the lake. Good luck out there fishing.
Hey Okay, folks, we'll take a little break from the Fish and Game Conference and do a little outdoor cooking. We're at the Spring Great Outdoor Days. Let's get into that tent and start the fires and do a little cooking, shall we? The cast iron Dutch oven is a versatile cooking system that, with a little practice, can handle just about any kind of culinary challenge. Like any cast iron product, you have to take some precautions with these ovens to prevent rusting. So a coat of oil before and after use is required. This also helps with the seasoning of your pot. Ensuring your oven has legs so that it can sit over top of the briquettes or other heat source is a must. Also, make sure the lid has a rim in order to keep the embers from falling off. Barbecue briquettes are a great consistent heat source for this kind of cooking. Just remember to have good ventilation and keep the flame away from any flammable material, or these guys will be showing up for real. Apple pie is one of the items on the menu today. To save a little time, I like to use the frozen pie crust. Add the apples, then leave the rest to your imagination. In my case, some cinnamon, brown sugar will do just fine. And once I figure out how to get that second pie crust free, okay, not the prettiest looking pie, but hey, that's outdoor cooking. The next step is distributing the briquettes. Basically, 2/3 of the heat needs to come from the top of the oven. By keeping it cooler on the bottom, well, that's going to help prevent burning. And there's also one more step required. When you are cooking, doesn't matter how evenly distributed your fire is, one of the key things you want to do, especially when you're cooking pies that don't have any kind of cover on the bottom, is rotate the pots. What you're going to do is you'll pick up the whole pot, turn it a quarter this way, and then a quarter turn with the lid the opposite direction. Okay, yeah, we're good. Now we can smell it. So with the pie out of the oven and resting, I turn to the main course. In this case, I'm going to combine moose and venison into a stew. I marinated the meat overnight in a light ale with seasonings. It's just a matter of cutting the meat into bite-sized pieces, adding them to a hot pot, and giving a quick sear. Chopped onions. Another can of light ale. Beef broth. Carrots and a variation to dumplings. Use some French bread spread with mustard. Drop that into the mix. Simmer for about another 20 minutes. Smelling good over there? And then wait for the reviews. So, what's the verdict, guys?
Good. Very good.
Yeah?
What are you doing tomorrow night?
So Dutch oven cooking, more of an art than a science, but what a great way to cap off a day around the campsite, or in this case, in front of Cabela's store.
Our compliments to the chef.
You know, not bad.
Canada's cold water resources need you. Trout Unlimited Canada delivers conservation results for our freshwater ecosystems and their cold water resources. Our work includes stream restoration, scientific research, and education through our Yellowfish Road program.
Hey, if you would like to catch previous stories featured on Let's Go Outdoors, then track down our website at www.letsgooutdoors.ca. Remember, the outdoors is here for all of us to enjoy. If you see someone taking away from that enjoyment, call the Report a Poacher line. Till next time, I'm Michael Short. Let's go outdoors.
I know where I want to be, outside, wild and free. Let's go outdoors, let's go outdoors, you and me. Let's go outdoors where the waters run clear and cold. Mother Nature's world is better than gold. much to do. Let's go outdoors.